The Chitrik Academy is dedicated in loving memory of Rabbi Tzvi Hirsh Chitrik.
Welcome to today's lesson. Today we are going to learn from Tashma over here until the Tashma over here. In our previous lesson, we had discussed that there's a machlokes between Reb Nachman and Rabbi Yehuda if in a case where a person will lose money if they need to go to Beis Din to say a claim, to report a claim, are they allowed to take the law into their own hands? Reb Nachman had said yes, and Rabbi Yehuda had said no. So today we are going to ask a question on Rabbi Yehuda. Let's see the Gemara. Tashma, come and listen. A case that shar sha'ala gabe chaverei lehargai, if an ox went on top of another ox, lehargai, to kill it, and what happened? Uva bal hatachtoin, and the owner of the bottom ox, which was being killed, came. Vishamat es shalai, he pulled out his ox. V'nafel el yain b'meis, and the ox that was on top, died. So what is the halacha? Does he need to pay the owner for killing his ox or not? The answer is pater. He does not need to pay. Let's see this case. In a case where there are two oxes. There's an ox that belongs to Reuven, that's with the yellow tag, and an ox that belongs to Shimon. And Reuven's ox went on top of Shimon's ox with the intent of killing it. So Shimon came along and pulled out his ox from being killed, and Reuven's ox fell over and died. So the halacha is, Shimon does not need to pay Reuven for his dead animal, for his dead ox. Let's continue with the Gemara. My love, what is this case talking about? Seemingly it's talking about Bimuad the wake up Seda. It's talking about a muad, the animal that killed more than 3 times, where the owner will not the owner of the second cow will not lose anything by going to Beis Din. Let's see what this means. There's 2 types of animals that damage. There's one that's called a tam, which is an animal that killed another animal once or twice. And then there's an animal called a muad that killed another animal, or a person, at least 3 times. The difference in their cases is by a tam, if an animal kills another animal, we say the first 2 times it was an accident, and it wasn't the owner was not responsible to watch his animal, because animals generally don't kill other animals, by cows and other animals. So therefore he's only responsible to pay chatzi nezek, half of the damages or the death of the other cow. However, if this animal already has chazaka, already killed another animal more than 3 times, at least 3 times, then the owner would pay nezek shalom, the complete damage, or the complete damage that his animal made, which is the worth of another animal. So let's see in our case. In the case that Shimon pulled out his cow, and Reuven's cow died, we're assuming that Reuven's cow was already a muad. And if it was a muad, then regardless, even if Shimon's cow would have died, Reuven would have paid Shimon the entire amount for his cow. Because like we mentioned, a muad, an animal which killed at least 3 times, the owner will pay the whole damages. So even if Shimon, sorry we're scrolling back and forth, even if Shimon would not take his cow from underneath, but would go to Beis Din, he would still receive the entire amount and save his cow, or the worth of his cow. And nevertheless, what does it say in the Brisa? It says that he's pater. He did not need to go to Beis Din. Even though he didn't go to Beis Din, he is not responsible to pay for Reuven's cow. So seemingly this is a question on Rabbi Yehuda. Because Rabbi Yehuda said that even in a case where there's no loss, a person is not allowed to take the law into his own hands and must go to Beis Din. In our case, where there's no loss because it's a muad and Shimon would be paid the entire worth of his cow, nevertheless the Gemara says it's okay that he took out his own cow and did not go to Bezdin. So this is the question that the Gemara asks on Rabbi Yehuda. So the question starts over here, from the beginning, and ends over here. Now the Gemara is going to answer, Loi. It wasn't talking about a cow, a muad, that killed 3 times. Rather, betam. It's referring to an animal that did not kill that many times. The ikap seda, and therefore there is a loss. Let's go back to our screen. If Shimon wouldn't have saved his animal, and the animal would have died, would have been killed, Reuven would only pay Shimon the worth of half of his animal. Like we learned, that a tam, the owner of the tam, only pays for half the damages. And therefore, by Shimon rescuing his cow, he ensured that he would receive the entire worth of his cow and not only half. And in such a case, let's move along. In a case where the owner will lose out money if he goes to Bezdin, even Rabbi Yehuda would hold that he's allowed to take the law into his own hands, and in our case, Shimon would be allowed to save his cow. So it's not a question on us, because it's not a question on Rabbi Yehuda, because it's referring to a tam, and the owner will lose money if he does not save his cow. Now the Gemara is going to ask another question. So this is the end of the answer, and here it begins the new question from E over here. The Gemara asks, I hachi, if so, that it's referring to a tam, ema seifa. At the end of this brisa, it says, what if Shimon did not, let's go to our picture of Reuven and Shimon. What if Shimon did not pull out his cow? Rather, he went and pushed off Reuven's cow, and Reuven's cow died. What will be the halacha then? Let's see. Ema Seifa. It says in the Seifa, in the end part, in the last part, second part of that brisa, Dachfu le'el yain v'meis. If Shimon pushed off the animal that was on top of his animal, and it died, chayiv, then he will be responsible to pay Reuven for his losses. Responsible to pay Reuven for his dead animal. So now the Gemara is saying, so what's the problem? V'i betam, if it's referring to a tam, amai chayiv. Why is he going to be chayiv? We just said that in a case where he's only going to receive half of the worth of his animal, if it dies, in a case of a tam, then a person is allowed to save his animal. So why is he chayiv for pushing off Reuven's animal? Seemingly, everyone holds, both Reb Nachman and Reb Yehuda hold, that Shimon had the right to save his animal. So why in this case is Shimon chayiv if he pushes off the animal, but if he pulls out his own, he'll be pater? So the Gemara answers, here's the answer of the Gemara. The Gemara answers, Shahaya la l'shamtai v'loi shamtai. Shimon should have taken his own animal out and not pushed off Reuven's animal. The way he should have done it was Shahaya la l'shamtai. He should have slipped out his own animal, v'loi shamtai, and he didn't. We say that Shimon has the permission to save his animal by pulling out his own animal. He does not have permission to go push someone else's animal away. And therefore, in such a case, he will be chayiv because he should have just taken his animal instead of going physically and pushing off someone else's and damaging and hurting another person's animal, another person's property. And this is the end of this lesson.